Well, Mandeep Lali has now officially taken over the helm as the head of the TTC, and just weeks into the job is facing some serious headwinds for the transit system with plenty of challenges, especially involving the word delay. So Mandeep Lali, welcome to CB24 Breakfast. Appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come up and talk to us about all the things at the TTC. So July 7th is when you officially took over. Let's talk about just your experience between then and now and sort of what you're learning as you go on into this role here.
Good morning, Nick. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you. In terms of what I've found in the system, it's a nice system. So let me start off by saying that. It's a nice system. People are working extremely hard to keep it going on days, nights, evenings and weekends. Mm-hmm. But there's more we can do. So if I could just encapsulate it in those words there.
How can you do more in the existing system without more sort of infrastructure available to continue moving people around? I mean, it's, kind of weekly here we talk about, track delays or track work, happening at night, closing down, shutting down early, things like that. You want to get the system running as smoothly as possible, but you've got these only limited amount of tracks and space, et cetera. How do you sort of find that balance to keep it reliable and keep people moving where they need to be going?
It's a good question. It's a dynamic system, so let's understand that. So there's a few key priorities which need to come out and we need to really flesh through in terms of looking at how we improve reliability, and looking at how we improve our processes to do the work that gives us the reliability, looking at the safety factor in terms of ensuring that people don't go onto the track, so we have our reliability, so we don't have the delays, looking at our cleanliness, which is related somewhat to safety in terms of people coming onto the stations that haven't paid the fares, that shouldn't be there. So driving all those in a cohesive manner. And I've always said it's about the incremental, the accumulation of the incrementals, which gives you that 1%. Over a day, it'll make a slight pinhole of an impact. Over a period of time, that 1% builds up. And it's the accumulation of and taking the organisation on that journey on those various forms that I've just touched upon.
What is that sort of time period that you're looking at if someone is sort of sitting here watching us right now having this conversation, heading out the door, going to take a TTC bus or subway, et cetera? What's that period of time where you think you could say, hey, you know what, you're going to see 3 months, 6 months, changes, improvements? What's your goal there?
So just before the interview, you asked me how long I've been in the country, and I said it's just a matter of weeks. Yeah. So I'm still in the learning phase in respect to understanding the dynamics of this organisation. I think some key elements of leadership is listening. Listening, learning, then leading. It's very easy to jump into the leading without listening and learning, and therefore your incremental gains won't be as impactful. So my plea somewhat is we're going through a metamorphosis in respect to TTC in Toronto in terms of what is happening. We're having 2 new lines coming on board, which is just unbelievably in terms of transit, in terms of what it's going to deliver. So as we develop for a period of time, say 3 months, and I get to understand how the system works in a granular detail, we'll be able to look to put in programs, plans to address the items that I said. And then you'll see the pull through on the incrementals in all of those areas that I touched upon.
Eglinton Crosstown must be something that's on your mind as the CEO. What do you understand could be the timeline here? Are there any hints or maybe confirmed dates you could give us this morning?
I hear you. I've had that question. I've had that question many times, but I just want to be clear on that. One of my first meetings in week 1 was with the CEO of Metrolinx on that very topic. Now, just to clarify, Metrolinx are the developer. Yes. They will also be the maintainer post-go live. That's the way the contract has been formed. TTC will be the operator. So we're working with Metrolinx hand in glove to ensure that we can deliver that service. But it has to be a safe service and a reliable service. Those are the words echoed by the Metrolinx CEO with the Premier. So once they substantiate when it's safe and reliable to do so, the line will open.
What do you notice about riding the TTC here versus, you have background in New York and London, et cetera? What do you notice about the TTC service as it is on the ground, in the cars, in the buses? What stands out to you?
Just take line 1, for example, the smoothness of the ride, the journey. If you compare it to the signal systems which aren't in the ATC/CBTC realm, you have a much smoother transition into stations, out of stations. So the ride is more pleasant. And you can do a comparison between line 1 and line 2. which is still requiring some upgrades in respect to signalling, and that will come in due course. So that's a factor. The factor that our stations are, I believe, have the opportunity to excel. Again, we're doing a 6 pilot renovation project on 6 stations, and we can substantiate what that looks like in terms of customer experience, safety, lighting, ambience, better communication, audio and visual. We'll be able to transfer that more, so we'll get a better customer experience on more stations.
Okay, and really quickly, you mentioned inspectors. The POO inspectors are sort of finish on a bit of a light note here. What do you make of this? People are talking about this morning that they're being jokingly referred to as the POO inspectors, the provincial offences officers. How do you respond to this? Because I understand the TTC kind of went into this eyes wide open that they knew the acronym would sort of become this.
I would like to concentrate on what the actual function is. So if you look at the function is based upon, we have a $140 million hole. They do an extremely important job to ensure that the taxpayer who pays for an aspect of the funding for the TTC is not changed by that $140 million. They do a sterling job in terms of reducing that debt, ensuring that customers people that are on the system pay their wage. So I'd like to focus on the $140 million and how we focus that back. The name has been done, it's been designated, I think, 36 years in legislation. But I would focus on what we're there to do, what they will provide, and how they're currently doing.
Yeah, we know fare evasion has been a major issue indeed over the years. Mandeep Lali, pleasure meeting you this morning. Thanks for this conversation. Hopefully we'll be back and talk to you in a few months' time and see how things are going. Thanks so much.